Welcome back. Today's mobility session is about the hips, specifically rotation of the hips to open up that lower back, those inner thighs, and those small stabilizing muscles around the hip. Before we go into our mobility session, I want you guys to let me know in the comments what other joints you want to see. Is it shoulder? Is it the specific parts of the spine? Maybe our thoracic spine, our lumbar spine? Drop a comment down below because I'm thinking more big joints, but if you guys want to see small ones like the feet, wrists, and ankles, leave a comment down below. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna first start on the floor. For our very first one, it's going to be a kneeling lunge opener. So good for our hip flexors, those inner thighs. So we're doing 1.5 minutes each side. So we'll set our timer. So what we're thinking about doing here is we're going to squeeze our glute and tuck our pelvis underneath. And then we do a little bit of a lunge forward. We kind of lunge forward, maybe hold 5-7 seconds, then kind of bring it back. Go again, reset that pelvis, then lunge it forward. You can play around when you're doing this to have different ranges. So have that leg outward a little bit more. Squeeze that glute and then go forward. The biggest mistake on one of these ones is a lot of people won't get this pelvic tuck and they're just kind of lunge forward like that, which isn't wrong. That means we're stretching more of our hip capsule, the ligaments and stuff like that. But if we truly want to stretch those hip flexors, getting a little bit more into posterior tilt as we lunge forward is what you kind of want. So we're doing this for 1.5 minutes. We got about 45 seconds left. Squeeze that glute, tuck it underneath. Listen to your body. Play around. I'm gonna go a little bit wider in that, get a little bit more adductors on this side as we go through it in all different ranges. Go back forward, squeeze and tuck again. About 15 seconds left. One more. Okay, and then we're gonna switch sides. So when we're switching sides, same kind of thing. Squeeze that glute, and then we do a little bit of a lunge forward. You can also, if you want to, add a little bit of quad stretch with this. So you would put that leg back up on a box, kind of mimic that couch stretch a little bit. Couch stretch, but then you're bringing your legs out in different ranges, okay? We're just opening it up. You can kind of use this hand on this knee to kind of drive that knee forward a little bit, get a little bit deeper into that lunge, while we maintain that pelvic tilt in all different directions. Good. About 45 seconds left. Back forward, squeeze and tuck. Good. Good, almost there. And relax. Perfect. So for our next movement, it's going to be a quadruped hip circle. So we're going to get into a quadruped position on our hands and our knees. And then from there, we're going to do a hip circle. So we're going to take one leg, we're going to come up, out to the side, and then all the way up and around. Okay, we're going to do 6 each side. We're going to reverse the back the other way though when we come back. So up and around, so that we got one there. You want to make sure when you're doing this, you're not getting too much low back motion where you're getting spinal rotation and everything moving around. You want to make sure you're keeping your core nice and strong. You have your face straight down on the ground and you're just coming up and around. Okay, and then touch that knee and then back. Should be a very big glute exercise because in order to get that end range of motion, you have to get that glute fired up while you keep that core and that spine nice and stable. Okay, we'll do one more on this side after this. Good. And then we'll switch sides. Okay, so again, we're coming out to the side, up and around. Touch that knee, then bring it back. Good. Even when you're doing this, you might feel a little bit of stretch in those inner thighs. It's a good thing to feel. as we get that glute working in that end range. Good. 3, back around. 4, we got 2 more here. I'm gonna make this nice and slow, trying to just make the biggest circle you possibly can make. Good, and last one. Good. Perfect, and relax. We're gonna do that again. 6 on the other side, so we'll go back to that side. Go again for 6. Okay, up and around. Back down. Again. Good, 2. 3. 4. Good, then we'll do 1 more. Out to the side. Your glute should be on fire now. Up to the ceiling, back and around. Perfect, then we'll switch sides. Last one here on this side, 6 reps. Out to the side, up and around. Kind of prefer these ones over like your traditional hip cars just because you're getting out of hip flexion. A lot of hip cars, we start in hip flexion and people are very hip flexion based. It's hard to get out of that kind of position. So doing this one first and kind of just opening up into hip extension as we come up around before going into the traditional hip car can be kind of good. Okay, we'll do 2 more. Up and around. Keeping that core nice and stable. And last one. Good. Perfect. Next up, we're gonna grab our box again and we're gonna do a hip external rotation stretch. So with our box, we're gonna be in a pigeon position. So you're gonna bring that leg up onto there. And then from there, all we're doing is we're sitting this back leg down and we're just sitting into that stretch, okay? Then from there, we're gonna rotate our body over that leg to feel real deep stretch along those glutes back there, okay? We're gonna take 1 deep breath in this position and then we'll kind of bring it back and then reset, go again. Rotate your body towards that. Big deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Sink it down. And again, just trying to bring this opposite elbow down to the opposite ground, okay? I like this one because it's, you know, with the pigeon, sometimes people have a really hard time getting down to the floor. And so this one you can do on a box, a bench, even like a bed or a couch. Do 1 more here. And it's really good because you don't have to have that kind of really difficulty when you're getting down to the ground if you have a bed or a box. Okay, and then we'll switch sides. Cross that leg over, drop that leg back. Bring this elbow to the opposite side. Okay, 1 big deep breath. And then we'll bring it back. And again. So you can also play around with the height. So doing this on a bed would probably be a little bit easier than a really low box. So if you can't get this leg down to that down there, I would start with a higher surface and then eventually to the point where you can kind of get that as you grade it. Okay. And we'll do 1 more. Good. And then we'll switch back sides. Cross that leg over, drop that back leg back and down as we bring the opposite elbow over. Okay, this also one's a really good one for that spinal rotation. Sometimes with that lumbar spine, we only have about 3 to 5 degrees of rotation. And so if we lose that, you know where else you're gonna try and cheat it is at the hips or at other joints. So incorporating a little bit of these that you get spinal rotation while in an end range hip external rotation can be a really good thing for your body to expose it to. Okay, we'll do 1 more after this one. Good. And we'll switch sides. You can also play around with when you have this here, like doing almost like a thread the needle where you basically come underneath, then open up to the ceiling. And basically come underneath, then open up to the ceiling. You can kind of play around with the two, whichever one kind of you feel your body needs more, whether sitting into the stretch a little bit. I really like adding breath into things that helps that nervous system just relax, bring you into that parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest, where all those good things happen at that cellular recovery level. Okay. We'll do one more here. Good. Perfect. Okay, we're gonna get back on the floor. We're gonna do some 90-90s. Okay, so we're in a 90-90 position. We got 90 degrees internal rotation, 90 degrees external rotation. We're gonna do flapjack. So what we're doing is we're just gonna flip our legs to the opposite side as we lean a little bit forward. Okay, you're gonna lean forward, and then you're gonna go back the other way, just flapping it back and forth. You can, the most advanced way, we're gonna go a minute for here, is do this without hands. So you can maybe start with one hand and then do no hands, but you're trying to basically bring those hands in that end range hip flexion, end range hip internal external rotation as you come forward with it. Okay, just reaching through, holding a good little second in between the two as you go through with it. We're doing, like I said, a minute here. Just trying to keep your feet in the exact same location as we just flip on over to the other side. Okay, about halfway. And after these, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some reaches to it, okay? So when we add these reaches, that's a little bit more with those hip flexor, with those adductors. We'll kind of get into it after these ones. Okay, about 15 seconds. Take a deep breath down here if you need to, as you rotate back over. Good. Perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna add those reaches. So with the reaches, you're doing the same thing. You're gonna come over here, but when you reach, you're basically gonna hip extend, squeeze that glute as you reach this arm back and across to get a nice stretch along those hip flexors in the IT band. Okay, and then you'll switch sides, go back again, reach, hip thrust forward, get a nice stretch along there as we come back. Again, we're gonna do a minute like this, reach it back and across. Good. This one, you're really trying to extend your hips forward, extend your spine, even your head, your whole body. I want it to go with you to really get that entire fascial line stretched from all the way through there as it comes all the way back. Good, we got 10 more seconds left. Good. Good, perfect, and then we will relax. All right, so let's bring our box back in here and we're gonna work on some hip internal rotation now. So you're gonna need a yoga block, a foam roller, something that we can put between our knees and squeeze them there so we're not having too much motion from our adductors. And from there, what we're doing is we're gonna keep our torso nice and tall. So I want you tall position. I don't want you in this kind of slouch position. I want you nice and tall. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna rotate and bring one leg out as far as we can. Then we're gonna go to the opposite side, okay? As far as we can that way while maintaining our torso upright, and you're not seeing a little lean with that. You don't want to get into that position because then we're using more muscles at our back and not necessarily our true hip internal rotators, okay? So we're reaching as far as you can, every single rep trying to get a little bit more. We've got 10 each side. You should really be feeling this in those little hip internal rotators on the side of our hips through in here. It's not a comfortable feeling, but I promise you we're not doing anything wrong when you're doing this. Sometimes people have a difficulty recognizing that pain versus more of a muscle activating and endurance of a muscle. Okay, we got 3 more. You can even see on my side where that right side's a little bit more limit on me than that left side, so that's why I like doing some unilateral things. Good, and then we'll relax. For the second set, I like to add a band. So now we worked on that mobility, let's add a little bit of resistance to it, okay? So we're gonna put this band around our ankles, and then from there, we're still having this yoga block here. But now what we're gonna do is you're gonna have one leg. So this bench is probably a little bit too low for me. I would get up a little bit higher or like do this on a bed or something like that, but you really just need your femurs pretty much supported onto there. So you have your legs almost hovering in the air here, okay? And so what we're doing is now we're gonna work one side while the other side isometrically supports it, okay? So we're working this side, but it's just an isometric way. So you're gonna keep one leg nice and stable as the other one pushes out against that band, and then we're gonna alternate. So now this one has an isometric control as that one's gonna come out. Okay, so we're just working on that end range, hip internal rotation. We got 10 reps each side again. Good. If you guys want more exercises like these, don't forget I have my hip mobility program. I'll put that first link in the description to help you stay consistent and really get on top of your hip mobility for prevention as we age. You can also do this bilaterally if you wanted to, so you can just bring both legs out to the side. But like I said, sometimes we have one hip that's very internal rotated and one hip that's very external rotated, you know, vice versa. And so just incorporating this unilaterally can also be beneficial. And the whole time your torso is nice and upright. Good, we got 3 more. 1, 2, and relax. Good. That is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment down below on what specific joints you want to see, whether it's the shoulder or in the spine. Leave a like down below if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe so you stay up to date on all my future videos. I will see you guys in the next one.